Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install the BedRug XLT bed mat on this 2017 Ram with a 6.4 bed. Now this is going to be the same installation all the way back to 2002 on the 1500. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the XLT mat comes to you in a box. It's all rolled up. I highly recommend rolling it out, letting it sit in the sun or someplace nice and warm where it can relax before you start with the install. That way it's not fighting with you. Then once it's all flattened out like it is here, you can go ahead and shift it into place. Should fall right into position. Another thing I like to do is pull the tailgate piece out and make sure it comes out to where I want it to be. Next, I'm going to go inside the bed of the truck and start prepping the surface. All right, now what I'm doing is I'm using the weight of my body to anchor the mat in place. I'm going to go ahead and pull it back. Now we've already also cleaned out the bed of the truck. That's one thing you definitely want to do before you do this. Also, make sure that you see where this Velcro strip is lined up and where that's going to hit. That's going to hit this ridge right here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to wipe that surface down. All right, now this truck has a spray-in bed liner, so I'm going to use an adhesive promoter. If this was a painted bed, I would not be using adhesive promoter at this point. So all we're going to do is we're going to tear the adhesive promoter open. Once we get that open, you're going to see a little yellow sponge that comes out. And right where the Velcro is going to be hitting, we're going to rub down the adhesive promoter onto the surface with the ridge. What that does is that allows our 3M tape on the back side of our Velcro that we're going to be attaching a surface that will actually contact. Also, before you attach the adhesive, make sure you have plenty of time for that to flash and dry to where it's dry to the touch. It'll still be a little bit tacky, and you don't want to touch it too much, but you want to be able to make sure that it's not still wet. Next, what we're going to do is get one of our long strips of Velcro out of our kit, and we're going to attach it to the Velcro that's stitched onto the back of the mat. And once that's in place, we're going to go ahead and peel the adhesive protectant away and expose that adhesive. Now with the adhesive promoter nice and dry, we're going to go ahead and lay that down into the adhesive promoter, and we're going to bear down to make sure we get really good contact. And once we're done with this strip, we're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to align the edge of the tailgate piece up to the tailgate. I'm also going to notice I've got Velcro here and I've got Velcro here. Now, this is actually an industrial hook and loop. We're going to pull that back. I just want to make sure that this strip is going to line up to this piece here, and it does, so that's great. I know where I can attach my adhesive promoter and then see where it's going to apply on here. I'm going to pull that back, and I've got two strips that look just like this. These are 2-inch pieces that I can pull right off of here, and I'm going to spread them evenly across here, and then the other 7 I'll place evenly across here. All right, next we're going to go back with the isopropyl alcohol. We're going to rub down the two surfaces where our Velcro is going to be adhering. Now there again, this has spray and bed liner over top of it, so we will be using an adhesive promoter right here. If it did not have spray and bed liner, we would actually not be using the adhesive promoter. We just wipe it down with alcohol, and this tape is actually made to stick directly to automotive paint, so it actually does a really good job. Now we're going to go ahead and fold it forward. We're going to take note of all the locations where the Velcro is going to touch the tailgate cap, and we're going to wipe those locations down with alcohol as well. All right, now at the top edge of that tailgate, we do have a plastic tailgate cap, and that's what we're going to be attaching to. So it doesn't matter if you got a painted bed or not, you're still going to use the 3M adhesive promoter. This is all included in your kit. So what we're going to do is we're going to peel this back and see where those locations are, where it's going to contact, and we're going to rub those down with the adhesive promoter. Okay, now I know that these strips of hook and loop Velcro are going to be aligning right along this strip here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my adhesive promoter. I'm going to go ahead and tear that open. And right where the Velcro is going to hit, we're going to go ahead and apply that adhesive promoter to the spray and bed liner material. Now again, if you have a painted surface rather than spray and bed liner, do not use the adhesive promoter. The adhesive promoter won't work as well if it's on a painted surface. Now once all of our adhesive promoter has had a chance to dry, we're going to go ahead and peel the red protectant off of all of our hook and loop strips. All right, now this part is easier to do from this side of the tailgate. What we're going to do is we're going to lift up our tailgate piece. We're going to drop it down in place. We want to be very careful to make sure we get everything lined up before we start to bear down. And then press down, make sure we get a good bond to that adhesive promoter from our Velcro strip. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.